Brian?
Aye.
Good?
Yes.
Okay, this is John Spear, Chairman of the South Council Board of Selectmen. We just emerged from, we actually called this meeting to order at 5 and went immediately into executive session. Came out of executive session and took no action. So now we're picking up with item 2. Who is that guy? Who's it around me?
Hold up, Mary. Talking to yourself again?
No, there's a delay.
It's only good if you catch it.
You should be good.
Do I need to repeat that, or is that? Okay. So the next order of business is public hearing regarding the adoption of the 2020-2021 General Assistance Ordinances Appendix A and H. A through H, sorry, yeah. So just as a little bit of background, General Assistance is a program, kind of a safety net program for folks on hard times to provide fuel assistance on an emergency basis, housing, rental assistance, electricity, burial, cremation services for the poorest of the poor, so to speak, qualify. And we have to have a public hearing tonight on updating the maximum amounts for that can be paid to an individual or a family over the course of a year, as well as the maximum amounts that can be paid towards housing and all those other things that I just mentioned. So I'm going to open this public hearing to comments. If there are none, that's fine. But if folks do have comments on the amount in the appendices, we can change them. They're usually established by formulas that we get from the Maine Municipal Association. We can do local studies and justify that. So with that, I'll ask if there's any comments from the public on appendixes E through H to the General Assistance Order. Comments from the board? Okay, hearing none, I'll close the public hearing. And now we need a motion. Terry, did you have a draft motion?
I did.
Which I will accept a motion to.
Move to adopt appendices A through H to the General Assistance Ordinance in accordance with the amounts depicted in the 2020-2021 GA maximum schedule as prepared by the Maine Municipal Association in September 2020. Appendices are for the period of October 1st, 2020 through September 30th.
Is there a second? Discussion. I would just point out that this is something that should have been done back in September. Was not brought to our attention. And we slept. Terry tells me that the ordinance has been administered in accordance with these. How they weren't adopted, and we've only had one case. Is that correct?
That's correct.
So, all those in favor? Okay. Adjustments to the agenda. I'd like to take, there's no objection, item 10A up out of order because both Kevin and Rob, I believe, have to drive to tonight. That's a long way in the dark. Are they here?
They're in the back office,
We're Kevin and Rob.
assessors.
Thank you. Is there any objection of getting them out? Especially with moose crossing the road. And
Terry, tell me how to make it colors.
Are there any other adjustments to the agenda
Right
while
click
we're
on
waiting?
your name.
Harry, do you have any adjustments to the agenda? Anybody else, Jeff? You have an adjustment to the agenda?
Yes, please. I'd like to discuss the status of one of the fire trucks.
I assume the one that's out of service?
Yes.
I think we can take that up with the department head. We'll get back.
Hello, how are you?
We're great. How are you?
We're
We're
good.
taking you up out of order so you can get on the road.
I appreciate that, thank you, thank you.
Where are we sitting, right up
Sit
here?
Here or
Come closer.
probably come closer. if you-
Hi, Rob.
How are you? I can't believe it's been a year already.
I can't either.
All right.
I'm gonna hand out some.
And it's been a long year.
So what we've got here is a couple options for you. If we need to do any more than that, we'll do so.
Yep.
And I've kind of overheard the plan here maybe. So one of these will be that up. Trying to get ahead a little bit. That's all.
Okay. So I just want to introduce you folks. Actually, if you'd introduce yourself, that would be great.
So my name's Kevin McCormick. I work for RJD Appraisal and we're the assessing firm for the town.
And I'm Rob Duplessis of RJD Appraisal.
Thank you.
So this year, we're doing this 18-month budget,
Right.
so that makes things a little bit, it just appears skewed, which it isn't, but just the numbers, it's such a jump. We took the budget numbers that you gave us. The good news is with all the new construction, we did gain $2 million of value, of new taxable value. And that is after losing $125,000 of personal property, either assets removed or depreciated, things like that. So at the end of the day, if you look at line number 6 and either one of the calculation sheets, you'll see that the valuation base that we're using to collect tax from, line number 6, 278,135,000 and change. And compared to last year, that same line was
272.
276.
27.7, correct.
That's right. So that's a bit of a help. And then, so our 3 assessments are county tax, which is up about $12,000 over last year. And then we take the other 2 appropriations, the municipal appropriation and the local education appropriation. And by taking 18 months of those 2 lines, when you do the math, it comes out exactly what it should be. You know, 1.5 million for last year's town budget, now 2.27 million this year. You know, I'm all about having the bigger picture here. When you think about it, the mathematics make perfect sense. We're collecting 18 months worth of taxes this year for those 2 items. So which means before our deductions, our gross budget is line 11, 7,780,000 change. And then the only 2 options we really looked at were the sheet that, okay, line number 12, that's estimated revenue sharing. That's $190,000 even. I'm sure you guys are comfortable with using that number. Revenue sharing line at the state level has gone up considerably over last year, the amount in the fund and how much every town's getting. I didn't check that against this number. This is a number I assume you guys were happy with, so we just kept the same.
Yeah, actually, I'd like to talk about that when you're done.
Okay, all right. So the only number that was different would be on these 2 sheets that you have would be line number 13, which are all other revenues. That would be excise tax collected, other fees collected, any other reimbursements we have. And the conversation was tentatively $25,000 from undesignated to help, no?
That
It
was,
was supposed to be 25,000 extra in state revenue sharing.
Okay, all right, serves the same purpose.
Yeah,
Apologize
get
for
to the
that.
same place.
Certainly, that's what you written down. It wasn't explained.
Perhaps
that
I
way.
should explain. I'm probably at fault here. I came in today and Terry and I looked at the revenue sharing numbers and we're way ahead of. Go ahead.
The new projection for me.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's,
And I thought to myself, man, the legislature appropriated these taxes, and if we're gonna be 50,000 or more under what they projected, that makes me a little uncomfortable. So I said to Harry that I was thinking that I might propose tonight that we add 25,000 to the revenue sharing budget. And evidently that's somehow got disconnected,
Yeah, we just-
but it ended up with the same.
It's still a deduction.
We can talk about that once Rob gets to the sheet.
So we'll do that. Well, we can update the sheets to 215 and 1,002,500.
Yeah. And we still can talk about surplus too.
So when you take that 25,000, wherever you want to put it, you're gonna want to look at the sheet that has line number 13 at 1,027,000. That's the sheet we want to work on, because again, the line number 15 is the net to be raised strictly from property tax. And that is taking the larger revenue sharing into play. So 6.562 million and change, line 15.
Can we mark these sheets 1 and 2 then? So 1 would have been without the additional 25,
That's right.
which the amount would be 102 on the other.
Right.
And 2 would be, when the one that says 127, understanding that.
Correct.
Yeah.
So what by doing it, by using line, sheet number 2, net to be raised by property tax number 15 is the 6.562 million. That would be right. So as you remember, all these next steps in this mill rate calculation sheet are just making sure that we don't overstep our bounds, because above the minimum that we have on line 15, we are allowed to collect up to 5% more than we actually need. Run the town, run the school, pay the county. So, and everything above and beyond the minimum is called the overlay. You guys familiar with these terms? So, line 17 is saying that the minimum tax rate we could have with not any penny over the minimum is 23596
For a miller.
for a minimum. And then the next line down, basically you add 5% to line 15, which gives you a maximum tax rate of 24,776. And again, another line 20 just lets you know the maximum overlay amount you can have is $328,000, 328 and change.
And you're 15,000.
Yes, yeah, I put a mill rate of 2365 just to try to minimize everything that's going on with this 18-month budget. Last year it was $19,000 was the overlay last year. So with a nice round number, I tried to come up with something that was fairly close to that.
and we didn't use anything like the 19,000 last year. In terms of abatements and give backs,
There was a couple of abatements, but I don't really know.
so
what.
Yeah,
we've been
can't tell you.
We've been conservative on the high side with the overlay for the last 3 years, and that's good. So,
And I'm very comfortable with that, because we've had, I mean, if we were a year or two out from a rebound, you might
Right.
want to put more money there, but
Right.
these have kind of settled reality.
Right. And the one thing to remember, I say this every year, it's always good to be reminded. The overlay money, except for abatements that are written out of it, we can't spend it. The town can't spend it. It automatically goes into the general fund. And it gives you an option to allow the taxpayers to choose to use any or all of it to reduce next year's burden. So it's kind of a rolling forward sort of thing. It's always good to have that option. But with the year that we're having with this 18-month budget, I really think something low in the overlay would be wise.
Yeah.
And just for comparison, if you look at sheet number 1, without that extra 25,000 in revenue sharing, instead of $23.65, it was $23.75, and the overlay was, a couple $1,000 different. So nice round workable numbers, and that $25,000 makes a 10-cent difference. You can see where we're going. If you thought 50,000 was a good conservative number to use for revenue sharing, it would drop that mill rate from 23.65 to 23.50.
If I may, I came in today and I spent a little bit of time with Terry. We looked at the excise tax and revenue sharing, which after our taxes are really too big. Of course, the excise tax we do very well. It's a little hard to compare it to last year because last year was such a kind of a crazy year. But if you put the COVID, if you think it sort of balanced itself out at the end of the year, which I kind of think it did. I think we're in good shape this year. I think unless something really bad happens, probably should make that. And our revenue sharing, based on the projection and what we've collected already, at 190,000, what will we carry? Under about 50,000 under, weren't we? Or sitting in some change. Go ahead.
I think it was 238 is what I calculated. What we collected, because we're already in 2022. So the state makes its commitment, and we've already collected 72,000-ish. You add what the projecting, and I get 238.
I like that, yes.
Yeah, I did, my number wasn't quite that high. Especially when I want it, I can't lay my hands on it after doing the work to do it.
But that just justifies the 25,000.
Yeah, I actually is taking your number, I'm going high.
Did you say you got a new, this projection was on July 1st. Did you say you got a new?
No, that was the
projection?
one.
Yeah, okay.
I think that is the newest one.
It was as of July 1st when they published it 2 days ago.
Oh,
MMA did it.
oh, okay, I went on the state website and got it.
Yeah.
We'll give it up.
So that projects what for, Carrie, for the period June 1 to round numbers?
My eyes don't go
I
across,
mean,
about
July 1.
167, 690.
167 plus the 71 that we've already collected, right?
Well, does the 71 include July though?
No, it was
No, that was
January
June.
1 to
Okay,
June.
just June. So
That's 238.
Yeah, okay, that's about right then. That's where I was. Yeah. So I would propose that we increase the 190 that was not technically budgeted, but was on the budget sheet. We didn't vote on it. Well, what is it, 231? No, 215.
215.
Make sure I got my math. And it's a minor amount, but, I feel that the state did make an effort to get revenue sharing back to where it was, and for us to under budget what we've already collected, heard of, and their projection. That's my proposal. So, we don't need to vote on that per se. We can vote on a mill rate. Do we want to talk about surplus?
Yeah, that's where I'm going.
Well, especially with that, I mean, because it looks like we're gonna get an extra 20,000 more than 215. Right? That's the projection. There's no guarantee.
Correct. And in my mind, we still have room in our surplus undesignated to buy some of this down, and I think it's fair to buy it down. So I'd like to see us leave that other revenues at 1027, which would be 5,000.
So you actually increase that by. That's what I mean.
Increase it
The one
to 127, right? And then also increase the municipal revenue sharing. to 215. So that's an extra 50, so 25,000.
What's your, I'm sorry, where are you getting what are you doing with surplus?
25. Which is what they were accident. Which, I mean, we've probably got,
That leaves us 577.
Yeah.
If the audit was corrected with all those puts and takes. The audit brought us in at 627. We spent $25,000, $20,000 at town meeting.
more than that, just an extra.
The Butler,
No, we spent 60,000.
no, I meant on top of.
Plus,
Yeah, right. Funny. So I spent 80.
but we're still, what, almost 100,000.
Well, plus we got all the money that Terry so heroically saved for us, which was how much?
On the FEMA, first FEMA grant was 29,000.
And
This
then we
next
got,
one will
Which
be
isn't
9.
in any of our calculations. So I personally would feel comfortable going deeper into the undesignated, but I know how everybody else feels, so I'll just keep it at 25.
well,
Another good.
actually, you don't know how I feel.
Oh,
I haven't said.
That's true, that's true.
Terry, can you remind me what the mill, or what the mill rate was last year?
15.35.
1535.
15.5, 1.5. 18 months. Is 23,025. So we're right, to my way of thinking, our mill rate is right where it was. It seems a lot higher because we're funding 18 months, and people are gonna take it that way, and some people are gonna not get it, but if you adjust for the 18 months, we're essentially at the same place.
Very modest increase.
Huh?
Very modest increase.
And the school increase was pretty substantial, not as big as some years. But. Well, so Walter, you have thoughts on the surplus?
I like ending exactly where Jeff just brought us because we're gonna hear about a fire truck. And my rubric is always, and Mindy agrees with this, 3 months of expenditures. We're not at that with our surplus. Then the back and forth between Jeff and me has always been, he's comfortable with 10% of the commitment, all lower than 12.
Okay, so just so I understand, you're comfortable with increasing the revenue sharing by 25?
Yeah.
And increasing the amount we buy it down
By
by
25.
25 for a total of 50?
Right.
Can you run that sheet?
But I'm gonna say, we know it's gonna drop the mill rate another 10 cents, I'd say.
Okay, can you just run that? That won't take long, I assume.
Yeah.
And could you just touch on the home, while he's doing that, could you touch on the homestead exemptions? Another thing, I know that, I talked with Terry about it, and I know Terry and Rob spent some time on it, they went over and reviewed, not thoroughly, but went down the entire list of homestead exemptions, and we found a few people that were deceased. And the homestead, it sort of carried forward with the home as opposed to the occupant who is deceased. Just a couple, I mean, and that happens, that's not. And then a couple of people had moved away, or.
Right.
So that was cleaned up a little bit, thanks to Terry and Rob. I just wanted to point that out, but where do we end up, with our homestead, line 4, compared to last year?
Compared to last year,
Yeah, that's enough here. Do you have that right
you
here?
do. So last year's line 4A from last
Yeah,
year
4, sorry.
was 11,300. So we lost 200.
No,
200.
11 million. 11 million.
I'm sorry, 11 million.
Yeah, okay.
275,000 lower than last year.
So, okay, so the homestead values actually dropped a little bit. Is that correct?
No, the homestead value stayed the same. We just had fewer eligible.
Right, so the total exempt value from homestead was a little lower.
Correct.
Okay.
275,000.
Okay.
Yep.
So not an appreciable change there.
No.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, and I have one other thought. Oh, mine is a terrible thing to waste. Let's see. Go ahead.
So this is the first time in my memory that we've ever had an audience to watch us make this sausage. So I'm wondering if anybody would like some quick education on what we're doing up here.
You're free.
We're setting in the middle. The basis of your tax. I mean, basically, it's pretty simple. We add together the school assessment, the county assessment, the municipal appropriation, and then we deduct from those. Well, I'm gonna make it even simpler. We deduct from the aggregate of those three, all the revenues that we anticipate, including, and we define revenues, surplus, and broadly defined. Revenue sharing, stump fee, everything you can think of.
Yeah.
And that gives us a net amount, and then we take, that's what we have to raise, so we take the total value that we have, which these can work on all year long, and we apply that by a mill rate that basically raises that amount of money, plus a little thing they call overlay, which could raise as much as 300 and something thousand, but we're only raising 14. And overlay is typically used to fund abatements. So that is sort of it in a nutshell. I mean, that's simplifying it, but that's basically it. So, and then the homestead exemption, of course, is if you are a resident, you have to be a resident and live in the home. So if you own two properties, you don't get a homestead exemption on both properties, you get it on your primary abode. If you're a summer resident and a resident of Florida, you don't get one at all, supposedly.
Right.
Hopefully. Okay.
So put line 12 at 215.
Yeah.
Line 13 at 1,027,000 change. Gives you, I selected a mill rate of 23.55. The overlay does dip down a bit to 12,000 instead of 14,000.
The other good news is your numbers on the assessments and the revenues jive with mine to the penny that I put on today, so.
Good, good.
That's good. That makes me feel good. Are we ready? All right.
Absolutely.
And so, we make, I think we need to make a motion to increase this makes sense to me, we should have a motion to increase the amount of projected revenue sharing by 25,000 to 15, to increase the amount of surplus using to reduce the mill rate by 25,000 and then set the mill rate at X 20. Is there a motion to that effect? So get that, Terry?
No. We gotta go a little slow on that one. Okay, who made the motion?
Increase the anticipated state municipal revenue sharing $25 to $215,000.
You want to take it separately?
It's hard, no, we can do it one, it's hard to type when I know everybody's watching.
And to increase to the other revenues line From undesignated surplus, an additional 25,000 to decrease the mill rate. We 23.55.
Second.
Further discussion? You guys want to add anything else?
Nope.
You want to hit the road?
Well, it's still daylight. No rain.
Further, any other discussion at all? And again, I think we need to really remind people collectively and everybody in the audience that this mill rate sounds outrageously high, but if you take our mill rate from last year and multiply it times 1.5, it's basically the same mill rate. Because people are gonna get confused about it. So. Which is exactly. You good to go?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, all those in favor? See ya.
Or even sign.
Well,
No?
I'm not ready to sign this
Okay.
because we do not have a signed assessment from our issue 13.
Oh, okay. Did not realize that. So I'll leave them with you. Next time. And if it changes, we'll just change it.
I don't know how you guys feel about that.
I agree.
Tell me why you don't have a signed agreement yet. If you haven't voted on it?
Oh, yeah, and we got minutes saying they vote on it, but we do not have the form signed by the board members.
We do have the one they used in the emergency last year that superintendent signed. Did I give that to you, John?
That was just minutes. It doesn't say what the amount is.
No.
No.
I didn't like it.
And I think they need to give us, and if I was the treasurer, I don't think I would pay the July bill. So I got a signed assessment, but you're the treasurer there.
Go to box.
No. Because technically you have no authority to pay that without an assessment.
Good, I'm not paying.
I'll wake somebody up.
Now, if we were the biggest town in the district, it's probably.
Well, these are all set at the rate you guys approved.
Yep.
And I'll just leave them with Terry, and if it changes, these are just
It's not gonna change. That's not. I'm making a. Yeah.
All right.
Sheet number 3 is what we went with, right?
Right, in the long run, yeah.
So that's void. And that's void.
Here's how you deal with that.
And I guess that's it.
Thanks, Rob.
Thank you, good seeing you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kevin.
Yes,
You be here on Thursday?
I got 20.
maybe. I might just stop there.
Kevin, sometimes you have a moment, I'd like to look at our quality ratio and.
Sure, yeah, yeah, I can dig that up. No problem.
I thought that was sliding a little bit last year, and I know prices are crazy, especially
They have
on the
been.
waterfront.
They have been. Yep, yeah, we can dig that out anytime.
Yeah.
Yep, yeah.
Well, okay. But we really gotta convince people, get the word out, I don't know how. Because people are gonna be in shock when they hear 23.
Our, another factoid that you can, that we, on a monthly basis, we are spending for the next 12 months, less per month than we spent a year ago.
But people are gonna see
But
that.
it doesn't
20
look like it.
No, they're gonna see that 23 mill rate and they're gonna go. Get some sticker. Okay. Public comment for items not on the agenda. Seeing none. Review and approval of prior meeting minutes. We have the minutes of June 29th and July 6th, revision 1. Terry sent out one yesterday that I have not had a chance to look at. Made your suggested change. So I haven't given.
Oh, yeah, I didn't, the ones I sent out yesterday were just from the 15th, I just need to send them out before.
I have some suggested changes, but I didn't get them to her, then they're not in your packet. The 15th?
Not to the, no, it was, yeah, you made suggestions. And to the 6th.
I didn't make any suggestions.
Oh.
I started to read them and stopped, unless I hit send by accident.
You should have June 29th and July 6th in your
Yeah.
folder.
That's what I have. And revision 1.
And I sent out the 15th, but nobody's responded to them.
She sent them yesterday.
Right. No, I meant June 29th and July 6th.
Yeah.
You made. I did.
I'm assuming they are. I haven't reread them. I trust Terry put them in there. Is there a motion?
I will move the exception, to accept Vision 1 of July 6th and June 29th.
Discussion? All those in favor?
I will move to accept Revision 0, July 15th.
I'm not.
I withdraw. Withdraw my motion.
Just ran out of time. Okay. Department heads, we have Ryan, wants to talk to us about winding way road access, which I understand is gonna be quick. And then also an out of service fire truck. Brian, you have the floor.
All right. Winding way, the deputy chief probably explained this better, but he brought it to my attention along with Amy. Winding way, for those who are not familiar, is off Island Road, right after McBride Drive on the right.
Private road,
A
correct?
private road, it is not a town road. Deputy chief brought to my attention that, and Amy, that the ambulance was sent out there for an ambulance call at night. And they had all they could do to get up the road. Because it's very, very narrow. Probably if you own a Toyota Camry or a Prius, you're awesome, you can get in greatly, but a fire truck or ambulance has issues, mainly the ambulance. My understanding, he'll correct me if I'm wrong, but they got caught up on some ledge. And that they were on scene for an extensive long time. Luckily, the incident was not life-threatening, but it raised flags for us. I've asked in the past of townspeople, I know we put it in newsletters or in my town report, asking homeowners to cut back on the roads 10 feet, up 15, so the ambulance, fire truck can get in. We've had in the past, Pine Tree or Browns Road has been an issue, ongoing issue. They've always complied with just a simple letter of request asking, hey, can you help us out? Can you do that? I have sent this letter to the owners of this road. There's 3 houses. One of them, if you're not looking for it, you'll never find it because it's not really a driveway to it. It's a homemade driveway. I don't know how they even do it, but sent the letter. I took pictures when I went down. The deputy chief went down ahead of me with his truck. We have the same size truck, and we both had issues getting it. I had to back all the way out. There's no turnaround. I don't know how these people manage this road. I don't get it. I don't know how an oil truck or anything would get in there either. But I have asked them, hey, this has been brought to our attention. Can you please do something? Any questions, feel free to contact me. It's gone snail mail, so how long that happens, I'll advise if I get anything back on it. So right now, the fire department is not going down Island Winding Lane. Even if we get in, we can't do anything. And I know they're all aware of it, so. The crew had quite the time, and I had, even in my own truck, there's a picture I took, there's a tree here and a tree here, and there's this much from my mirror.
Did you put in your letter that the fire truck will not be able to respond?
I did, yeah. So, and I am sure there are other roads in this lovely town that have the same issue. We're not gonna know until we go. There's some that we already know about, that, hey, if we send something down in here, it's there until we're done.
Yeah.
So, but I just want to know that let you guys know that I have sent a letter. Not demanding, not saying, hey, you have to do this. It's like, hey, could you, just looking for some compliance out of it. They're rental homes, my understanding. At least one is, because the lady said she was a renter, not the owner, when I showed up, so. But,
So you're not asking us to do anything?
nope, I'm just advising you of the
Okay.
status that.
Yeah.
If we get any feedback, I'll just keep you advised on it, so, that's that.
It's like, wait,
Fine. The other issue is, probably now been 2 weeks, I sent out an email, actually, I made phone calls to all three of you, about our tank truck. It's the oldest truck in our fleet, was leaving here to go to the maintenance shop for a repair. And the truck made it to the first driveway on the right from the fire station, puffed white smoke, and died on the side of the road. The truck is a 1992 International. It carries 2,200 gallons. It is our main water source for this town that we carry on trucks. Since then, the truck is now sitting at, I'll call Cushion Diesel. It's now called Midcoast Diesel. Same place, they just changed their name. The part that broke or failed is the injector, the fuel pump. Is what we've been told. Well, not told, but this part is made back in 1992. You cannot get a rebuilt and you cannot get a new one, because this particular part was built specifically for a fire. The Cushion Diesel has contacted the manufacturer that made this injector. They're calling China, they're calling everywhere, they're trying to find another one. I've also contacted our company, Greenwood, which is in Brunswick, that does our yearly maintenance. And they're doing the same thing, and everybody's coming back with the results of, you're not fixing this truck. No one is going to firmly put that in writing yet, because they're still not giving up on it, but right now, this truck is dead in the water, sitting in Cushion. This past Thursday night, 7 of us went down to Cushion, and we've taken all the hose off the truck because we had hose testing this past week. I'm on the fence right now. Probably after tonight, this weekend, I'll be going back to Cushion and putting the rest of the equipment on this truck. So it's just sitting there. It's open game to anybody that wants to cross over the fence, take what's ever on it. So, why I am bringing this to you is, A, this is our main piece of equipment. Right now, like I said to you guys, when I talked to you on the phone and in an email, we're okay right now. We have mutual aid. But closest, biggest tanker to us is coming from Warren. Because Al's Head's truck is still not been replaced yet. Their new one might be in by September. But all the mutual aid chiefs are aware of our situation. And was the truck that's on the list to be replaced next year. Numbers have been given to me, but the guys are like, no one is gonna give me a firm number because they don't know. And if we do find this part, we don't know if there's a problem with the engine. Because nuts and bolts went flying. And by the description from the mechanics we've been talking to, the truck should have never made it out of the station when they tried to get started. But for some reason, it made it that far. And today the tow bill arrived. I will hand that off to Terry to try and get insurance. Maybe our insurance can cover that cost. Is what it is, I'll pay for it out of the budget. But I'm looking for guidance from you guys, what you want to do. We want to, I've also, in the meantime, because, I'm playing the what if game for 2 weeks, and I've talked about what the cost is of another truck, a brand new truck. 2015, we bought a truck for $350,000. And prices have gone up. We're looking at $500,000 potentially for a new truck. And there's no bells and whistles on it. I'll get that clarified, because we did that with this last truck. We did no bells and whistles. It's a truck. It's made to work what we needed to do. go in the next spot with this particular truck to build it the way it needs to be built, the way we need it to be, do what we do with it. We're looking at roughly $500,000.
What did we have budgeted for replacement? How much did we budget for to be planned for?
Now, what it would be in 10 years, or what did we put in this last budget?
Well, we were expecting to swap this vehicle out next year. Right?
Yep.
We set aside. I guess.
Potentially, if Terry and I kind of run it off, once the ambulance pays that back, and what I've been putting in, we're gonna be around the $400,000, maybe $450,000. But we have to remember, when this truck was supposed to get replaced, we're replacing utility was supposed to get replaced at the same time, because the utility is 20 years old and the body is starting to rust out. So that's the other caveat, or however you want to put that to that.
But let's just say we had the money right now, we said, let's pull the trigger and get a new one. How long is it gonna be before we get the new one?
Year or less. Depends on what the truck committee comes up with and the numbers we can get. There might be a chassis already sitting there ready to go and just needs a body put on it. I didn't go that far in advance with my salesman on those discussions. The other thing is that I talked to him about financing, because I knew at least Walter would be asking me what we could be looking at. They have a order now, pay next year. I don't have it on my phone, but I didn't print it off. They have percentages out. If you go 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, it's like 40, and don't know the numbers, but 40,000 a year, 50 some, with certain different percentages, however you stretched it out. It kind of compares back to when we did the truck in 2015. It's kind of the same process. But order it tomorrow, you don't pay for it till 2022. You don't make your payment till then. If that was to work out, not saying in a weekend, our truck committee could actually build a truck. It's gonna take more than a weekend. But if we went that route of order it this year, pay for it next, theoretically, if I understood how Terry wrote it to me and Walter's plan from 5 years ago, all the money should be sitting in the truck reserve account. Potentially, we're gonna be short, possibly, to pay for the truck.
Well, where I was really going, sorry, well, all right, I mean, that's exactly the information I was wondering about. But the other thing is, no matter what we did, in the interim, we've got to figure out what we're gonna do.
We can get a loaner truck. The truck, Greenwood is the name of the company that does all our maintenance. They can give us, at a cost,
Yeah.
a loaner truck, which would be, I wasn't gonna leave it out. It's a freebie, it's not gonna happen. It's not gonna be an exact 2,200 gallon truck. It could be another engine that has 1,500 gallons of water on it. But they would loan us a truck to use, which would be built into the new trucks. And they would figure that out percentage wise and stuff like that, so.
Can we back up for one
Sorry.
second? No, that's fine. So this truck, as I understand it, is, you have your attack truck, you know,
Yes.
and you have the utility truck, which is old but small. And then you have the four-wheel drive truck, right? We have lots of maintenance issues and have over the years. This truck is the main truck to supply the first water, sort of, for lack of a better word, to try to knock the fire down while you're getting set up to a fire pond or until mutual aid gets here with extra water.
If we had a structure fire in town, it's the lead truck that goes first, the attack truck, and our tank truck is second due, and they piggyback each other. So within the matter of 10 minutes or less, we have 3,200 gallons of water at our disposal to work with until a water source is set up or mutual aid arrives.
I just want to step function of the truck.
Because as we all know, we
So,
don't have access.
so what does the four-wheel drive truck do? What is that? And I understand what the utility truck is. That sort of has its boat rescue.
Right, the utility right now is under our MMA insurance policy. We're supposed to use the utility to tow our forestry trailer and the boat and it does not have a pump on it, it has no water on it. It is strictly a truck that carries miscellaneous items for whatever type
So
stuff.
setting that aside,
So the other truck, the one that's sitting over here in the bay, the 2003 four-wheel drive truck that has 750 gallons of water on it.
where does that fit in the scheme?
It is the truck that would go to the water source to draft and give us water.
So
Set up a
without
water
that
source.
truck, you can't draft from a fire pump?
We can draft with any truck we currently have, but that's the main, in a structure fire aspect, that's the main purpose of
But
that
if
truck.
your other two trucks need to be at the scene,
Mhm.
how would you, if that truck was broken down, how would you draft? I mean. would you-
Mutual aid, a mutual aid
Okay.
truck company, a mutual aid town coming in would be
Well,
assigned.
where I'm going with this is,
Yep.
I'll cut right to the chase. 2 or 3 years ago, 5 years ago, 6 years ago,
Yeah.
maybe 10. There was some discussion at one point about getting rid of the four-wheel drive truck.
Yep.
And going down to 3 trucks. Your attack
Yep.
truck, your tanker, and your utility truck. But what I don't understand is how you would draft if that, I was gonna ask you the question, have you guys been talking about that? But now it seems to me that's not possible if you need a drafting truck, or am I missing something in your?
No, you're not wrong. That's the main purpose of that truck is to draft. But if the truck doesn't leave the station or mutual aid happens to get there before that truck does, mutual aid will end up drafting.
So in other words, a mutual aid typically would get here quick enough to help you set up for fire pond access, is that?
Possibly, it all varies because you never know how many people are gonna come out.
But typically,
Right.
okay, so I guess my real question is, would it be feasible? Would that option be feasible to go down to 3 trucks?
It's worth discussing, but the other thing we have to remember with that truck is that, say we are in Rockland, for example, on a mutual aid fire with both truck, back truck and tank truck. Personnel that didn't go on the mutual aid call are here, and if another call comes in the town, that's the truck that would cover that call. But if nobody's here, the truck's still sitting here, and we have another call, we have to have mutual aid.
Right, but a lot of times mutual aid, I mean, one night when we had the hearing out here.
Yep.
You guys went to somewhere and Thomason came and covered.
But
So-
that's because we have right now what's called an automatic mutual aid. When and if we have a structure fire, and we're not the only town. Every town in the county has the same policy, that if there's a structure fire in the town, automatic response is given. So if we have a structure fire in this town, we go, our ambulance goes, and 5 other departments are coming with minimum of 1,000 gallons per truck.
So we spent a lot of money on that four-wheel drive truck over the years, and maybe we're beyond that and it's okay now. But, and I haven't been around a lot in the last couple of years, so is that?
We spend a lot, we spend more on that truck every year on routine maintenance than we do the other 2. That four-wheel drive truck is 2 engines and yeah.
Well, I guess that's one thing. I would urge you guys to have a discussion about revisit that. I mean, is there a way to, just me personally, but, and then my other question is, just roughly, what's a new utility truck cost?
$125 maybe. It depends on what we do with it.
I understand.
I don't know. Excuse me.
I'm just trying to get an order of magnitude.
Just for the chassis, which would be the cab where we all sit in it, you're looking at 75,000 maybe. I'm not.
Okay. But we're not talking $500,000.
No, not on a utility truck. No.
Just trying to get an order of magnitude.
And just because I'm saying $500,000, I'm not saying that I'm going to come back and say, hey, we're buying a fire truck for $500,000. This committee is not we did it with the other truck. And just for comparison, we built this truck in the town of Rockport, built a truck at the same time, same company. They spent $100,000 more on their truck than we did on ours, because we sat down and we went over every single thing to make sure that we are not getting the bells and whistles, because, shiny fire truck looks like it has all the bells and whistles. We made a truck that's gonna work and for what we needed to do, as we would do the same with this truck and any truck going.
One you're referring to the 451 that we just, it's like 5 years old. The most recent.
The 53. But yes, it's a 2015.
Right, okay.
So
And-
that's
and-
almost 7 years old
It's
already.
getting there. And the other discussion on the county chief side of it, the chiefs have been discussing about consolidating apparatus. There's some departments in the county that have 8 fire trucks, there's some that have 5, there's some that have 4. We have 3 main engines and utilities, so we're about the same as everybody else. But I have had discussions with Chief Wytalk and Chief Mazzeo informally, as usual, of purchasing a truck that would be stationed either here, Thomaston, or Rockland, and all 3 of us pay for it. So if one of our trucks had to go out for routine maintenance, it's yearly maintenance, that truck comes and sits here while our truck's out of service, and vice versa. It is very informal at this time, and nothing is guaranteed. Sir?
What's the tanker truck's number? Okay, so you do that coverage thing with 51 and 53, right?
Correct. We're rolling out right now with 1,750 gallons versus 4,000 gallons, which is a humongous difference, because 51 is gonna have to go straight to the water source. It's not gonna come and feed 50. It's quite pointless.
And that's only got 750
Yeah,
gallons.
that truck only has 750
So
gallons.
that's not bad, you can,
That truck would be awesome on California on wildfires. That's what it was.
or on an airplane.
Or on an airplane. That's what it was built for. Not for South Thomas and Maine. And just for clarification, I was not chief at the time, and we did not build this truck.
And the airport did not ask.
And the airport did not ask for it. So,
Okay. MBNA agreed to,
Yeah.
MBNA agreed to pay for it, right? So,
by my understanding, as I said, I had no roles whatsoever in that.
so what do you guys, what do you want to do?
I mean, we gotta look at how we're gonna replace it. For now, we've gotta rely on mutual aid. And look at the cost for the replace for the loaner. Find out what that's gonna cost us. Even if we don't commit to purchase. It's gonna be the test.
What,
Um,
are you looking for something more definitive tonight? or-
Well, yes and no, but I understand what Jeff's saying. I have asked about the loaner aspect, and it's a catch-22 with them. Within reason. I'm not saying I'm not gonna get the answer, but I will get the answer, but it'll be a better price if we buy the fire truck from them.
Oh, sure, yeah.
Like just for clarification, I believe there's a policy in this town, an RFP, right? And that has not been followed in the past by other departments, and I would like not to follow that policy again. And purchase this truck from Greenwood, from E1. Where we currently have already bought a truck, and we're very happy with the whole setup. E1 is our closest representative for any mechanical work for the apparatus or the pump. Any other company that I can recall off the top of my head means if there's a problem with the truck, it goes out of state. And right now, there's 2 people, I believe, on our department that can go out of state because you have to have a Class B or Class A license. He happens to be one of those people that don't have to. They are very user-friendly. Right now, just for a short explanation of them, when we do our yearly maintenance, they come get the truck. They take it to Brunswick, they get down, they come back, it's a rotation.
Have you asked them about this truck, this auto service?
Yeah. They are I have talked to, they are the second one. Greenwood is the second one.
And do they? what
They're saying it's done unless some miracle can happen and they can find this part. And they were happy that I did not have it towed to Brunswick.
And even if you find the part.
We don't know if there's a problem with the
there's
engine.
other problems.
Right. We don't know how much damage has been. So it's critical. This truck is very critical and replacing it needs to.
And I assume the resale value, well, obviously the resale value for the tanker truck is crap.
Pretty much.
What might the resale value be for the wheel drive truck?
I'm waiting for that answer. I could not tell you, and I'm not gonna ballpark it.
but it's not gonna be.
Could actually have 5 digits in it, not just 4.
Right.
It could be 30,000, it could be 75,000. I would be shocked if it's 5,000. The truck still has value to it.
Yeah.
Financially wise for all the percent, that part.
Until they get the maintenance cost.
Right. And Greenwood can give us a good quote on the retail value of the truck because they know what's been fixed on it. 90% of it, they've done. So.
So you need anything more from us tonight? I would, I don't know how you two feel, but I would like to have that an internal discussion about maybe looking. And counting the utility truck.
Going from 4 to 3 is what you're asking.
And even if the utility truck was maybe a little different animal.
And I would add to that could, you could build that as part of a, well, I don't know, regionalization kind of process with the other departments. Working some regionalization.
Not saying it's not on the table with the county chiefs, it has been discussed at least, we meet 4 times a year. And it has been discussed in the last 3 meetings. And I'm pretty sure it's gonna be discussed again tomorrow night, because the meeting's here. And this will be, this thing's missing.
But, and I just want to add that 10 years ago, the idea of regionalizing would go nowhere. But I think the political climate is different now, and I think it could go further than it has in the past.
And I'll agree with you because I was shocked at the meeting that it actually got brought up. And I was not the one that brought it up, but I, involved in the discussion and outside the chiefs that did bring it, we've been still discussing it and we don't move that fast. At least it is being discussed. So, but the other thing, if we went down to 3 trucks and we boosted the utility, your words that kind of you just said, that would probably involve a pump, which would take the price up. St. George just got, we call it a utility, but it has a pump on it and it has like 300 gallons of water on it. We can discuss it. It just is gonna change the numbers. We're not gonna be looking at $500,000, we're gonna be going up again. So.
And I'm gonna ask one other question. What about used?
If you wanna get into that headache, we can. We don't know what we're getting. I mean, what do you mean, used tank truck or used utility? Because the utility we got right now is used.
I know that, either, or both. I mean, I don't know, I don't understand the used fire truck market. My general sense is departments keep them until they're delivered.
There are a lot of used fire trucks out there, but to match exactly or within reason or close to what we're looking at, they're slim. Tank truck world, you want an engine, okay, there's all kinds of used engines, certainly, because the big cities constantly are rotating trucks out. But to go to a tank truck with minimum of 2,200 gallons of water on it, it's slim picking.
Because most places with hybrids don't need.
Right,
25.
and to get it in the right age group, you're looking more like 1970 truck or you're going in the wrong direction with the age of the truck. So, and our truck replacement plan is every 10 years. So if we go used, it's kind of gonna mess up
Well.
potentially,
yeah, but that's,
something to look
I mean,
into.
we got in, you know, sometimes necessity is the mother of invention, as they say.
So how soon do you want to hear back from the truck committee or myself on this? What's that?
August.
August 10th.
And preliminary, I mean.
Okay.
That sound good?
Is that too quick?
I mean, what do you want for information?
As much as you can give us. I mean, if you can't get certain things by August 10th, then fine, but. I mean, we can only move as fast as you guys give us information. I mean, we can't sit up here and say, okay, we'll do this. I mean,
Well, that's fine. We can start that August 10th. I can come back with something. I'm not saying we're gonna have possibly the full package because
no, but you can at least come back and say, well, we looked at this, we looked at that, we, you know. We're not, we don't think this is gonna work. I mean, you know, I don't.
my other question is, and I have a phone call into Christian Diesel. Because I'm just curious, how much farther do you want to go with this 1992 truck? I don't know if we're getting charged for it sitting there.
Well, I think you need to find out.
I know, but
And how
am
much,
I calling them to say, stop, we're done, and we'll get the truck out of there, and pay another tow fee to move the truck to come sit somewhere?
how much was the tow fee?
$100.
Yeah. That's not-
We got a discount
Actually, yeah,
of $60.
actually, I think that's pretty cheap.
It was, we actually know the person that. It was very nice.
Well, yeah, I think you need to find out if they're charging us a storage fee, and if they are, how much it is. And-
Okay.
But I don't, my sense is we shouldn't.
Yeah, don't give up the ghost yet.
Okay. Alright. And one,
What do you mean by don't give up the ghost yet?
don't give up
He's
yet.
clear.
There's still a slim possibility that
Right.
somebody out there has the part. And when you put it on, it's not gonna cost you very much.
But that part would be like $5 million.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's a lot better than $500,000.
But if they also, and if they say they could make it, I mean, the part in 10 years ago was $8,000. So if someone goes out and specially makes this, we could be paying a big chunk of money. So, you know,
Well, that's why I think maybe it is important for you to come back August 10th, so we stay in communication.
and my one final thing for me for the night, unless you three have something else, just if I send you an email, can at least one of you reply back? Because like for the last week, I've been like, hey, I've been bugging her. Did they get the email? I know you guys have rules that you possibly can't, say, yes, go ahead and do this. I understand that, but at least like message received, something. So at least know that you guys are aware.
So what about the vote?
Oh, you want to talk about? Oh,
Well, I know, but you sent an email on
I
it.
sent an email.
well, because things,
And
we
we
knew
knew
you were coming tonight. He wants to break. The boat, we had training last night at the Big River, which we had somewhat of a show of people watching. I think you drove through it.
I did.
We had no forward gear on the boat. So they were,
I'm just driving back.
they did, from Hayden Point over to the dock. So we also tested the scenario last night. We claimed the public landing was inaccessible. We couldn't put a boat in. So we tried out a new launch spot on Hayden Point. And it worked. So, because we are always looking for different, if it's ever low tide, we're limited. But, so the boat has been taken to J&H Marine just so you know, the week prior, when it was checked in for monthly checks, it worked perfect. So, we're 2 for 2 on having things unfortunately break, but never in an emergency situation.
So what size motor are we talking about here?
25 horsepower on the
Is it, okay, is it a 4-stroke or a 2-stroke? 4-stroke. How old is it?
I wasn't chief at the time, so
It's a 4-stroke and you weren't chief at the time?
Nope.
Wow,
Wayne bought it
wow. That's gotta be.
through the association, so.
Yeah.
That dates you and I for being on tomorrow, yeah. It was bought before he was on, he's been on for over 20 years.
Yeah, so what are we talking for a new motor?
So in forward gear. I don't know, I
So
don't know.
you're hopeful that it's.
I'm hopeful that it's gonna be repaired and we might see it in a week or two.
Okay.
And the county has inflatable boats. Thomaston has one, Alsted has one, Union has one, so, but
Can you borrow a motor from someone for the interim? I mean, it's gotta be 8
do you
million.
want us to pay for that?
No,
Because
if
if
you
I
borrow one from someone, there's gotta be 8 million boat motors around this town.
9 times out of 10, if we have a water rescue, we're using some lost boat. Because it's usually our rescues normally aren't at the big bridge. So, but I will look into it as
I mean,
well.
it's just a thought. Okay,
Thank you all.
Penny, can you let Andrew in?
okay, so we wanna take Northern Borders up out of order. That's Andrew's been patiently waiting, I guess. Is that what you're suggesting?
He said he'd listen, he just wanted to,
Okay, is there any objection if we take Andrew so he can go to bed before it's 1 o'clock. Andrew, can you hear me? Oh, not yet.
Yes, I can.
Okay, thank you. We'll try to make this brief. You saw the email from Terry about the road project, that if we had to scrap it, if we had to, not saying that we do, but if we had to, that they would basically prefer us to get this shovel ready and then reapply for an actual construction grant. Is that fair, Terry?
Yes.
Summary. My concern is, and I don't know if other board members have the same, is if we do have to do this, they would like us to let them know by December 31st, and I just don't see that deadline working. I don't know. It seems to me we're not gonna know what the actual cost is until we get the bids back, and I don't believe we're gonna get them back by December 31st. But I could be wrong about that. So,
Yeah, looking at that schedule, I think, depending on how fast the town would like us to move, I think we could have some bids back by that time. But what I will caution is, we've been seeing very few bidders in projects right now, quite honestly. So we've sent out several projects and we're getting one or no bidders back simply because everybody is so busy, they don't even have the time to look at projects. So the process could be completed, but I'm not sure if we
that
have
for this year, projects for this year or next year?
both. I just sent a project out in Damascotta, a road project, and we got one bid back out of 15 bidders. We sent the invitation to, and it was an option of constructing it next year.
Wow.
Yeah, that's what we've been running into, quite honestly. So I don't know if things are going to change once we get to the fall season after this construction season starts to wrap up. That's kind of the hope, is if we could send something out in November as paving plants are starting to close and trying to kind of catch a sweet spot for contractors going into the next season. But things are not looking good based on the last couple of projects I've seen come back, and prices have been astronomical.
Well, interesting. So if you bid in November and it's due before December 31st, and it couldn't be December 31st, obviously, it would have to be that. Would they hold prices all the way to next spring construction season?
They will, as long as we are clear on the dates of construction, and some of the options we can do is actually allow them to provide a construction date with the stipulation that they only have, X amount of weeks to construct the project once it's started. So, and we can do multiple options in that bid packet when we start looking at things.
Okay, and what about permitting? Are we gonna have permits?
We only need the permits prior to construction. So it's not going to be constructed this fall. I think we're very aware of that. So that would give us the time to go through this fall and secure them. The permit applications have been submitted to DEP. So the review process has started. We do need time to refine and revise the plans, but from now till November would give us plenty of time to do that.
Okay. And one other question for me, and then I'll turn it over to Jeff and Walter. So at this point, we want to hold up, it seems to me, on the 3 driveway temporary easements, construction easements, as well as the permanent easement. Is that my understanding? Based on your last communication, that you thought we should wait until after we have the permits?
Yeah, I think we want to see what the permits are, at least this first round of review. So generally speaking, when you submit a permit, they accept it as complete, which they have done. And then they begin their review process. And usually we hear back from them in a few weeks with any comments or concerns they may have. And I'd like to wait until we at least have heard back from them once to kind of judge on if there's any concerns. I don't anticipate there are any concerns out there, but it's just good to hold off before we start going through the process of finalizing those easement plans, trying to save money and make this as efficient as possible going forward.
Okay, yeah, because I'd hate to do the easement twice.
Yeah, that's it, exactly. Yeah.
Jeff, Walter?
Are there any, Are there any costs we're gonna incur that we've not included? Anything incremental to as part of moving the bid process forward?
No, I think it's all in that original contract and the change order we've already discussed. We're still within the parameters of that. You've hired us to kind of finish that up and finish those plans. So as of now, I don't see any additional charges. The only potential is easement components, but I believe we included some of that coordination and securing those easements in our change order that we submitted to you. So we should be within the contracts that you've authorized us to proceed. We just need you to kind of give us the reins to finalize the bid packet and the final plans.
Okay, if that's on your side. We may have some costs. We have a little bit of legal money left, not much. We may have, so that's why I said this shortfall is 27,000 at a minimum, could be more. Okay. No. Okay. Go ahead. Oh, okay. I think that's it, unless you got something else you want to offer us. Have you had a chance to look at what you call value engineering?
Yeah, I actually have a little bit. When we got into the riprap and looking at the side slopes, trying to save costs, trying to get it as natural as possible, we were able to peel back some of the riprap we had originally proposed. I don't have a dollar value in our estimate. I didn't take it that far, but I did make those revisions, saving somewhere in the range of 150 feet of riprap along the edges. So essentially, we're going to armor the low sections, and then we're going to treat the little bit higher sections in elevation with some Curlex blanket and vegetation, trying to balance those out a little bit better and make sure we have the wave action taken care of and secured with riprap. And then as we get higher in elevation, we kind of dissipated that to Curlex and in both sections of that road. So it'll save a little bit of riprap that we had included and hopefully pull some of these costs down. But again, prices are so volatile right now, and nobody's available to do any construction. It's impossible to predict numbers right now.
Well, and I also think it's just, based on what the state just did with their rescue funds, and if the infrastructure bill passes at the federal level, this could get worse.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so I assume though that what you did, setting aside the volatility of the prices, what you did didn't, with the riprap peel back, so to speak, my words, not yours. That's not going to close the gap of 27,000.
I would hate to predict that. It would be nice if it would, but again, anything we would pull back on those prices, I think will just give the town some contingency money, additional contingency money for changes. So I hate to assume that, yes, we're going to be within that budget and leave you without any contingency. So I would recommend leaving that in there and seeing if your budget constraints can be adjusted, if you will.
Well, our general contingency is gone. That's
it.
The only contingency now is in your revised construction estimates, 10% of each project.
That's it, exactly. Yeah, and that's minimal with a project like this. So we try to do what we can, but again, I think that the potential savings associated with that riprap should just be left as is, left alone, and not assume that that'll reduce that project cost.
Okay. Any other questions? Thank you, Andrew.
Absolutely.
Appreciate it.
You guys have a great night.
Okay, we hope so.
Got a long one in front of you.
Yeah, we've been here a while already.
I know. Thank you.
So I would ask that Terry let Kristen know that we were putting the easements on hold for a bit, because didn't she ask you, Terry, at some point a while back?
Yeah.
Whether we were gonna draft that letter or not.
Yeah.
So we can put that aside temporarily, so are you good with that? Okay. Let's jump back. I think some of these things we can dispense with quickly. Ad hoc technology committee, basically both in and yeah.
I wanted to, we skipped over department head reports, and I just wanted to bring something up.
Oh, I thought it was I thought it was only Brian. When he talked about the winding road, but go ahead.
So a while ago, Amy told me that she is part of a task force or committee that is looking at regionalization. That they were having a meeting sometime this month, so what I would suggest is that we find out if that's the case and have her come report on the results of that. My understanding was that it was not just ambulance service regionalization, it's a larger committee of multiple towns that are coming to grips with same kind of sustainability problem that we have with those services.
So that's fine. Why don't we put her on the August 10th, not third agenda? And that'd be great. I'd love to hear that. We also got to get back to her with those SOPs that, well, Jan and her and I worked on, which we kind of dropped the ball on. That's another day. Okay. So Cliff and Ann both asked, as Lynn left early, so that we table this until at the ad hoc technology committee mission statement.
Okay.
What are you talking about? No?
Yeah, kind of, where are we at?
We're not very far, we're on 10.
Okay, all right.
10 big. I said I was gonna try to make this quick.
Yeah, I'd make a motion to table it.
All those, that discussion? All those in favor? Okay, the next item, Walter, you asked to put on the agenda. I guess it was sort of in relation to that letter as well as.
Yeah, I just wanted to get a sense of how, if we figured out how we're gonna approach this or not. And kind of tangentially, I'd like to raise the sense of the board about a number of our fellow select boards have written to the county and expressed the opinion that the federal government doesn't really understand Maine counties and what they do for a living, and that most of, like, the county I grew up in Virginia, Fairfax County, does all the things that all the municipalities do here. So I'm wondering if we want to request to the county that they distribute their $7.7 million in proportion to the population of their member towns. Since exempting law enforcement, if that's a legitimate use of the funds.
That's not, I would propose that would go nowhere.
Well,
Matter of fact, what it would create angst, Commissioner. But having said that, I think one of the recommendations from the other towns was to put together a group of representatives from the towns with the county to discuss the broader issue, priorities, and how the funds. I think that's going to happen. I need to say me too. That's my opinion. I watched both of their excruciatingly long, foolery kind of commissioner meetings that address this issue, and I don't want to be one of those that are sticking in the eye, which is what their impression is of some of the other. And at the same time, I agree with you. I think that federal government sees counties in the state of Maine the same way they see counties in Tennessee, and distributed the money just the same. And what Tennessee does with the county, and what the county does in Tennessee is nothing like what the county. So I think a softer approach would be to say we want to join in that meeting to discuss priorities and possible uses of it. The argument can easily be made that, and I don't even know, and this is the other thing I'm a little curious about, do we know how much money we're getting? Have we got anything from them?
Well, we had a couple estimates, in the ballpark of 150,000, but
And it's really strange because the other towns that we're talking to the county commissioners have exact numbers,
Where did they go?
amounts. I don't know. But they have numbers.
they got them on the website, but we have not received any official notification.
They all talked like they knew exactly how much they were getting and the timetable on it too. They were,
Well, that surprises me, because Terry and I sat in on that workshop with MMA and the person from the state, Department of Administration and Finance. And she said that the state needed to go through a process to develop, the distribution and the timeline, and we haven't heard boo, and I keep looking for MMA updates on it, and I've seen nothing. They're gonna be the first ones out, in my opinion.
and the municipal monies are flowing through the state.
Yeah, well, not all of them, the 5 entitlement cities, or 6, Portland, South Portland, Bangor, Lewiston, Auburn, get it directly, right, from, but ours is flowing through the state, which is gonna slow it down and complicate it, and, but back to the issue at hand, I mean, we did discuss this use of our funds at one point, and I put forward a list of 6 that I would potentially like to see us use our money on, back before you were on the board. I still think we should write down things that we would like to see. I think we need to be thinking about it, and even if it's not eligible. And what bothers me a little bit in this process is I don't get a sense that they're gonna approve your plan ahead of time and say, yes, this is an eligible expense. They're gonna let you spend it and then review it, and then if they find it ineligible, tell you you owe the money back. Which we're a little uncomfortable. So, but I think we should be jotting down ideas. I mean, I had several, which I'll forward to you. But back to the county thing, I didn't, this came up specifically in relation to the letter that was signed by the 4 managers from Camden, Rockport, Rockland, and Thomaston. And quite frankly, I didn't like the tone of the letter. I thought it was insulting, and, with the county. You want our money, be nice to us.
Yeah, well, and
I agree with that.
that's
tone.
exactly.
Yeah,
Not deciding.
and then they were really upset that because they thought the county commissioners were gonna go and allocate some money to this affordable housing.
Yeah.
And yet that group, Audra Bell in particular, is in there pushing for them to immediately give all the $7.7 million to the broadband project. Right. And I thought to myself, wait a minute.
Well, I think that was part of the reason they sent that letter, is because they thought they wanted the 7.7 for the broadband. And it looked like the county might be giving it to other people instead of them.
Yeah.
And that's what this letter was all about.
Oh, I
And that's
know.
why they.
Yes.
That's why they.
And I have a feeling that if the county commissioners were ready to hand over the $7.7 million, that letter wouldn't have gone in.
Right. That's right. So what the commissioner said is, we're gonna get all the towns together and we're gonna put our heads together and figure this out. But I do think it's reasonable, if what we're getting is like 150,000, and we can leverage something out of the counties to make that
great.
better. Because 150,000.
No, but it can definitely do something. Anyway, so the 3
ARP eligible stuff, yeah.
So the 3 of us are gonna write down some ideas. I already expressed them at a public meeting. I'll have to go back and watch it, figure out what I want. And I'll tell you what was one of them. I would like to see us, and Jeff, you might disagree with me, I'd like to see us grant some award pay to the residents of this town who work in nursing homes and grocery stores and who worked through this pandemic and put themselves out there and get the reward out of that. Even if it was $500. anyway, and that is eligible.
That's eligible,
Right.
which is the only thing the county's already
Not
committed
for their,
for their.
I'm talking about employees for nursing homes, you know, it doesn't have to be in, if you work in a nursing home in Rockland, or if you're a nurse's aide at Petty Bay, or if you know, those people put themselves at risk, in my opinion, I agree. So, anyway, all right, so we good on that? Donation for the library, Kevin Gordon, I'm not sure what this is, Terry, exactly.
He donated $100 to the library. So we could vote to accept it.
I'll make a motion that we accept Kevin Gordon sending a thank.
Further discussion? All those in favor? Okay, Terry, you gotta explain this to me. I think I understood it, but
I got to write this motion down before it goes on my head.
well, Terry can jump in. As I understand it, Christmas and New Year's fall on a Friday and we're closed Friday. Terry was saying, asking me as the chair, how she should deal with the three employees that get holidays, which is her and Honor and Phil. And they were thinking about closing the following Monday. I said, I kind of objected to that. I felt being closed 4 days over the long weekend wouldn't be my preference. So I said, why don't we talk about the board? I would rather just, you know, I don't mind if two people took it off and one person was there on Monday and we paid that one person an extra holiday day. Or that person could take another day off at some other point in time, but I didn't feel I could make that decision on my own, so, or should. Did I frame that right?
We did. Perfect.
I want to be close for it.
Well, I'd go even further. I mean, I think what we ought to do is authorize Terry to give them either the Thursday prior to or the Monday after. We have one person in on either one of them. Does that make
Well,
sense?
Yeah, except we typically close around 2 o'clock or 1 o'clock. Right?
Yeah, but that's Friday. That's the Friday.
I thought Friday
Friday
was Christmas.
No, Christmas is Saturday.
Phrase it right then.
Oh,
I said, so,
But this is actually a lot. When a holiday falls on a Friday.
but it falls on Saturday.
Yeah, but he's-
But it's still celebrated on.
the way the state does it, if it falls on a Saturday, they celebrate they close on Friday. If it falls on a Sunday, they close on Monday.
Correct.
But we're closed on Friday anyways.
And I think by extending that, you just go to either the day prior to Friday or the day after Sunday to be the day, that holiday day. And that would apply to anything, 4th of July. Any of the
I'm
other
good with
federal.
that. Are you good with that?
I'm not sure.
He's just saying that give on a Thursday before Christmas Eve off.
Okay. And give some-
Or Christmas Eve day if they want, although they're gonna get robbed in 2 or 3 hours. I mean, I don't care how, personally, I don't care how you deal with it, but this is my personal thing. I just don't wanna be closed 4 days.
Okay.
Right, but at the same time, they're due that holiday.
Mhm.
So what day you give it to them should be a day that they normally would work, right?
Right.
So how you orchestrate that, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I don't care if you give
So
them,
you don't want the office closed, but we can work it out anyway, as long as there's a person there to work.
Yes, that's my.
that's what I would like to see.
Yes, that's what I want to see.
And the same thing and particularly on New Year's. Right.
Yeah, New Year's, well, no, New Year's is on a Saturday, it's exactly.
Right. I don't wanna close the office 2 4-day weekends in a row.
Right.
You know, I mean, if it was just one, maybe, but I really don't wanna do that. So are we good with this? Can you work it out?
Yep.
You look like you still got questions.
No, I think I'll be all right.
And I would, and I think that this applies not just to Christmas and New Year's. I mean, anytime next year, any of the normal holidays that falls on a week that would normally be given on Friday, you move it to Thursday.
As long as not everybody goes on the same
Right,
day.
right.
Okay.
Yeah. And one other thing too, I think we need to, while we're on holidays, not tonight, but we have a new state holiday next year.
Oh, yeah.
And we probably should amend our personnel policy to Juneteenth. That's gonna take effect. It took effect for state workers this year, but next year for everybody else, I guess. Okay, you good, Terry?
Yep.
So don't ask me tomorrow. All right, we need to sign our local road assistance certification form, saying that we'll spend that money on roads. Is there a motion to execute that certificate?
So moved.
Second. Further discussion? All those in favor? Okay.
And it's down to 13,360. I thought it was.
Up to 13.
Used to be. That's what I thought.
Well, the forms in that file with the numbers on
I
it.
think Walter signed it.
Oh, was it? Oh, he's really on top of things. Good.
It used to be 60.
It's
Down-
not.
It was, years ago.
When I was, last time I remember it.
But next year it's gonna be 13.
I know, but that's my point. It should be going the other way.
It's 9. Are
What?
you talking about the percentage?
No, dollar amount.
Oh.
Well, they're gonna give us what they give us. Speed limit enforcement on Island Road. Where have I heard this issue before? Walter, you brought this up, so I'm gonna let you carry the ball.
I just, my suggestion was ask the sheriff to put the flasher up and speed trap it every once in a while, because we're in the same period where we got the walkers out in force as we did last year.
Do you want a letter from the board, or do you want to just have Terry?
Either or. They responsive to you. And
Okay. Why, is there a motion to that effect?
sure, I move that we ask the sheriff to repeat his enforcement practices on Island Road between now and Labor Day.
Further discussion?
So not paying.
Not going down that road again. And we need to get the bushes cut back on that road. I'm working on it. Okay. Audio in community room. Again, I agree completely with your thought that we need to improve it, and so, but I'll let you carry the ball, and I think Terry's done a little bit of research.
I did. I had talked to, Jeff was here today, Jeff Parker. And he has
Oh, he's the AV guy.
he's a wonderful vision for us.
It only will cost 17 million.
7.7.
Yeah, there's
Maybe the county will.
no sense to try to rein him in, so I just let him go, and he's gonna get an estimate to me, and then we can
Try to rein him in.
look at what his options are. He said, oh, maybe $5,000, we could do this, we could put all these cameras up and have microphones, and so, but, we'll see what he comes up with. It's doable, he says.
What are those connected to?
I'm assuming
That's what I,
that over there,
yeah, okay.
but I also spoke with Gus today. They make, and I would think I wrote it down, spider mites.
Yeah.
That he thought could be solution, and he's gonna look into how much they are. And I know in St. George, they have an owl, and I attended the meeting last Monday to check out how it worked. And I don't know, it's fun, it sits in the middle and it spins, and they had it projected on a whiteboard. So it was a little bigger to see.
Can you say there was a little delay though?
It was a little delay.
Yeah.
And Gus said the owls are expensive and they are very hard to get right now.
So is it, help me, excuse me if I'm totally nerdy about this, but couldn't we just connect cable to that TV and broadcast that on that screen?
Yes.
Thank you. And that would be what, $15? I get one at the thrift shop.
We, last time I'm aware that that was done was when Sandy connected her Mac. And the presentation on,
Oh, yeah.
on the Butler, options.
Yeah, I've used it a couple of times. Yeah. It's dark, right? Yeah. It's not gonna help the audio, right?
John,
Well, that, if those speakers are connected to this guy, then that would
fine.
make the audio
Yeah.
louder. Except they're pointed in the wrong direction, but.
But
this laptop is recording for YouTube, and there is a good 30-second delay to it being posted on.
we just heard that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, though I have gone out in the hallway to check and, got other people check, the sound quality is a lot better, but still on there. But as far as checking that on big screens, you've got the delay.
So the sound quality a lot better with what?
With the pillow. And it didn't cost a thing.
No. Well, Walter, do you wanna head up this effort? Maybe we incrementally work with Terry on it and,
Okay.
Cause you're the techiest person here.
But tomorrow I'm gonna have my first many beatings of real term and, heads from,
Oh, that's right.
Is that tomorrow?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
But
All right.
I'll work with Terry on this as well.
Cause I agree with you. I mean, I do think, we're gonna talk about a remote participation policy. I know my wife tells me we're definitely going to Georgia for 2 months. I'm gonna have to participate remotely, like I did last year. And I agree with you that, we need to improve this, because I've heard, not complain, but they're like, well, gee, you can't tell who's speaking, So, good enough on that?
Okay.
Okay. Remote meeting policy. Jeff, I sent you some comments on your draft.
Yeah, did you see my response?
No. Oh, okay. Did you do it today? Yeah, because I didn't want to, so you must have tried it.
And.
Oh, yes, I did. You said you liked, you said you liked the edits.
Yes,
Yeah.
Yeah, so the first paragraph, I actually had about 5 different drafts of that first paragraph. So I like what you did, that worked out well. I responded to you too, as a different response to you, okay. But in the part where it says the public will be provided a meaningful opportunity to attend when any member of the body participates via remote, that's to say, if you attend remotely, we have to provide the public access as well, remotely. Right now, we can let the public attend remotely, and years ago we could, and we will without this policy.
And 10 years.
Yeah,
Right.
so that doesn't change, but I do like the part you added to that nothing in this policy shall be crude as to limiting our ability to allow public or contractor, anybody to remote in. They just can't vote. I mean, but they can still chime in and listen and respond.
Right, but you could vote if you were in your van in Arizona.
Correct. With this policy. Without this policy, you could, and after July 31st, then we could not, and I
Right.
wouldn't count for a quorum.
You wouldn't come for a quorum.
And I did look at what the county did, and it's almost word for word. They took the same MMA template that I used. So there's not a difference between the two. But there is still the question. And every lawyer in every town is doing it a little bit different as to whether or not the select board can sign off on this policy for all of our boards and all of our commissions and all of our panels or
Well, I'd like to see us have a consistent policy, though. I understand that question's out there. So my preference would be to adopt it as a policy, distribute it to the boards until someone knows.
yeah. And the other part is, we ask person, and here's that, and that's what they're recommending. MMA recommended that you provide the policy to your legal counsel because of all the gray areas that are associated with it. They're gonna be the ones that have to say, yeah, this is at some point, they have to do it. I find that as a huge stretch. I would prefer that we just go ahead and adopt it.
I don't wanna spend the money on it.
Yeah, that's the other
I
part.
mean, and I don't think the boards, our boards and commissions are gonna reject. I mean,
Right.
I mean, most of it comes right out of the law.
Correct. Worst case is they'd have to take one and scratch out town of South Thomaston and put planning board.
Or ad
Board
hoc
of
policies.
Appeals.
Yeah,
Which is.
I just think we should have a policy that governs all our boards and committees that's identical.
I agree.
And,
And I'll make a motion to execute our remote participation policy.
And I will joyfully,
And
enthusiastic.
further discussion, would you agree to amend that motion to distribute it to all our boards?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I mean, part of the additions that you made is that it does apply to
Right.
all of our committees.
Yeah, okay, so that's probably,
Right, but we, Terry just needs to make sure.
okay. So I will, further discussion, I was gonna second that. All those in favor? Thank you, Jeff. And so, as of July 1st, all our boards now, the Conservation Commission, someone can participate remotely.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
And there is no limit on the number of people that can limit remote.
Nope, there's no limit, but you've got to make it available to the public, which means that somehow or other you're gonna have to connect with Terry.
If you have one member who participates remotely, one member of the committee, then you have to make it available to the public in same venue.
Yeah, well, it can be a technological hassle.
But it could work just like it works
Yes.
now.
Yeah, exactly. And that way, if you have people that go to Florida for 2 months, or, you know. Yeah. Okay, great, thank you, Jeff. Conservation Commission appointments. Okay, if I have this right, we have 9 people for 7 slots. I will say, that puts us in a very unusual position here. I don't think I've ever run into that. I did talk to Cliff Dasco this morning, and I said to Cliff, I said, you know, we got 9 people for 8 slots, and I said, with everything you've got going on with broadband, would you be totally crushed if you peeled away a little bit? And he said that would be fine. He said you could put him on the injured reserve list, that's how we worded it. And he said he would still he's been doing some water sampling with someone, he'd still do that, but he said between his job and the broadband committee, technology committee commitment, he probably would be better off if he withdrew, so that gets us 8 for 7 slots.
The list that I'm looking at is not the right list.
Yeah, I left off Cliff and I sent out an email yesterday
And,
and I added
you-
Tisha and she
Tisha
was just
is
interested
wrong,
in information.
okay,
I didn't read her
Yeah.
email properly.
And I was assuming Sally said if needed,
right.
so I didn't count her, because I got the impression from her that it was truly if needed. Now, another person said if needed too, Linda Garat,
Yes, but she's.
but then I asked, but then she sent in a second email that sounded like she was really interested. So I asked Terry to follow up with her today, And Terry said she really isn't. So I don't know why she said if needed, but
Dave only wants to be an alternate.
Alternate instead of on the,
well, that gets us to 7 then.
I guess you the number you want. Right?
Yeah. Would you be interested in the appeal board?
Wait, we need to discuss this.
Okay.
Well,
No,
Let-
when I
let's
said
put-
that, I saw the look on her face,
Yeah.
I think she has something to say.
Well, only that, I understand that you want people to volunteer to serve on, but I think there's an obligation too to be sure. We've got 7 really good people on the commission.
well, I have a few that I wouldn't particularly vote for, but,
I know that's what I'm saying,
and,
and I think you'd be wonderful on the commission. Yeah, the difference is only that the commissioners vote and the associates can attend but not vote.
right, and the associates have to be recommended by the committees.
Right,
According to,
right, and then
so we
approved
just
by
can't,
the-
right, we just can't do that tonight.
Oh, no, I
Right.
understand that.
Right.
But,
Well, I don't know how to,
all right,
this
Put me
is
back
a,
on.
huh? This is a delicate situation then, because I don't
we
know,
don't know who.
yeah, we don't have a clue who you're thinking would not be, and I
I
don't,
don't know who's on the list. I know.
Well,
I'm on
Terry
the
can-
list.
Terry can read you the list,
Please.
make sure it's the right one.
You can tell me if I'm wrong. Eileen Skarka, Catherine, Sally, but she said if needed, and
Yeah.
only one, yeah. Gabe wanted to be an alternate.
So he's not on the list, so
He's not
don't
on
count
the
him.
No counting, but Andrew Stanchio, Theo, Linda Garat, Henry Spencer, Leslie Spear, and Sandra Wallace, because we just took Cliff off.
Well, we didn't, I said
He
he
said
would,
he withdrew.
he would be happy to step aside.
I don't recognize all these names.
I
Who don't you recognize?
don't recognize most of them.
Yeah.
Well, you know Andrew
No, Andrew's,
Standycock.
right,
You
right.
recognize him, don't you?
Sandra.
Yeah.
Sandra Wallace.
Yeah. Linda,
Linda, we know well, she has been the
yeah,
secretary.
you know Catherine.
Oh, you put your name on the list. I didn't know that.
So who else is on it?
Leslie.
Leslie. That's my wife.
Oh, I don't know Leslie.
I met her the other day when she came to comment on my paint job.
So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
Yeah,
Oh, so you still need to take one off.
We need to take one.
well, we need to take.
And I don't, okay, so. This is one, yeah.
Andrew's still.
That's it, okay.
Sandy. Well, and we had people sent in little blurbs. Does someone want to read those?
So we're missing one, because we have Sally Merchant, which would be an upcoming.
Well, not
No,
necessarily.
Sally said only if needed, and so Terry, read them again if you want.
I have Andrew down twice.
Eileen Skarka,
Oh, you have Eileen?
Eileen's got.
Yeah.
I don't know who she
She's the
is.
chairman of the planning board for the past 6, 7, 8 years, right? Who did volunteer to join you field board? I keep looking at you.
Well, I guess there are some people who've been working for a year and a half on the conservation issue. And, you know, these are people that show up for meetings, show up for the.
Are they on this one?
I'll tell you who they are. Brenda Garrett, Sally Merchant, Gabe, Andrew, of course, me. And I don't have you, but did you?
Yeah, I put my name.
Okay, yeah, no,
Yeah,
she's
she's
great.
on.
Let's see,
So how many was that?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
I think there's 8 if you take Sally and Cliff off.
Yeah, but I don't know why, I don't know if Sally really meant to take them off.
Well, that's just what she put in her letter.
She's very busy.
She's
Yeah,
really-
she's got,
Okay,
she has
okay.
Don's in the, yeah, I mean, without getting into a lot of detail.
No, that's all right, and I don't know Eileen at all, but Catherine. And so I guess I do know everybody except.
Right.
Maybe we have never seen Leslie and Eileen or something like that.
No,
Some,
And I think you're missing Henry Spencer.
He's on the list.
He's on with Henry Spencer.
yeah, I don't know.
He was chair of the Conservation Commission in his last town for 4 years and been involved with various land use issues for over 30 years.
Oh, that sounds good.
Okay, so I'll read this. Hi Terry, this is Andrew Skincock. I would like to provide my name to the select board as a member of the Conservation Commission. I am a geohydrologist with 60 years of involvement in environmental matters at the local, state, and national level. I believe my background could be useful to the conservation of South Thompson's beauty, health, and future. Then Linda Garat,
She's been our secretary.
Yeah.
for years.
she wrote, following a recent annual town meeting and the establishment of conservation, I would like to volunteer if needed to serve on it. But then she wrote, since May 2000, a few days later, she wrote, since May 2020, I've been an active member of the conservation group well before it became a commission and served as secretary, assistant treasurer. I also recently been appointed to the environmental seat on the APAC, the Airport Public Advisory Committee of the Knox County Regional Airport. My husband and I are delighted to have retired to South Thompson in 2017 and want to do our utmost to promote and preserve the environment in our wonderful town. Please let me know if there's any more information. Henry Spencer is interested. Oh, he didn't write himself. Henry Spencer is interested in joining the conservation. He was chair of the CC in our last town for 4 years and been involved with various land use issues for over 30 years. Thanks, Maureen. Terry, I would be very interested in being appointed to the Conservation Commission. My particular area of interest would be in what the bylaws describe as the development or improvement of recreational and ecotourism facilities and attractions such as walking trails, picnic areas, canoe kayaking, launching areas, etc. Thank you very much, Leslie Spear.
That's okay.
Tisha Swan, Maureen Spencer. Ooh, this is a long one. I would like to be considered for a new library group.
Yeah,
That's
that's-
not the,
that's-
that's
that's
the
the next
conservation.
Have I gone too far?
Yeah.
Okay, that was eight.
Well, not everyone.
Oh, not
sent in a
everyone
blurb.
sent in a blurb. Okay. So what do you guys want to do? We gotta deal with this one way or another. We could draw lots. We could draw lots, but that means someone like Theo could be the one that gets.
No, don't.
So that's,
I'll make a
plan.
motion.
Okay.
I make a motion that we appoint Catherine Bentheim, Andrew Stanikoff, Theo Pratt, Linda Garat, Henry Spencer, Leslie Spear, and Sandra Wallace.
Well, hang on a second.
is there a second?
Anybody that sounds really good wasn't on his list.
No, I think.
Further discussion?
So you're, the,
And
he's included Eileen.
correct,
From this
and,
motion.
and I'll share a little bit of why I think she signed up for this at the town meeting.
No,
No?
because they didn't have a sign up sheet. Oh, correct, Eric?
Right, she told
She
Walter
mentioned
at the
she
time.
came
meeting
to
that she
approach
was
me.
interested.
Right.
At the town. meeting. And at the time, she was not on the board of appeals. She had. I've been on a bunch of committees with her. She's very capable, very smart. But I think she leans better towards board of appeals. Personally.
Okay, we have a first and a second. Is there further discussion? Anything else you want to add since she spoke to you? Okay. All those in favor?
Jeff, can you give me those names again?
Yeah, please.
I couldn't type that fast.
Well, we voted, so you can just give her the name. Okay, I'm gonna move on while you're giving the name to Terry. Like,
Question?
Catherine, Andrew, Theo, Linda, Henry, Leslie, and Sandra.
Catherine, Andrew, Theo, Linda, Henry, Leslie, and Sandra. 1, 2.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, and
You sure you don't want to serve on the?
I'm still
So
short.
this, okay, I was seven.
No, number 7, so.
Okay.
We needed 7.
That was my
Seven
problem.
was the number.
Right.
Yeah, we needed 8 at least.
So, my second. And is Andrew?
Who's gonna speak to that? Okay.
Andrew's standing here.
Santikov.
Okay, that's it, I got it.
Okay, that's it. Okay, so we voted. You have a question?
Yes, it was regarding the terms.
Yeah, well, that was gonna be my next point. Now we gotta deal with terms. Because we need to have, I suggest we have 2 2-year terms, 2 3-year, 2 1-year terms, 2 2-year terms, and 3 3-year terms. And as we just do it by alphabetize their last name.
That's easy.
No, wait.
How about the shortest one?
I tell you.
So what were your terms, John?
2 1s, 2 2s, and 3, excuse me, 2. You need 7, right?
We need
2 2s, 2 2 1s, 2 2s, and 3 3s, right? That's 7 1.
4 and 3, yes.
I suggest, so we're not here all night long, we just go by the alphabet of their last name.
Are you gonna be 1 year? I don't know. Oh, I see, okay.
So you're putting the 1 year at the top of the alphabetical?
That was my suggestion, but it's, I haven't heard back from these.
That doesn't mean we can.
Rerun.
Two.
Yeah.
We can draw lots.
Fine, I mean, you know, it's an easy way, it's like random, it's fine.
Right, and
No,
you'll
that's
just, because next year there will only be 5 candidates instead
Yeah.
of slots.
Somebody can put their name back on this. So.
Correct. Okay, so can you figure out what the terms will be then, based on that? Is that agreeable to you guys?
Alphabetized 3 2 1 3 2.
What?
So they're alphabetized.
Yeah.
First one is 3,
Oh, yeah.
second one is 2, third one is 1.
No, that was. what I had.
That's complicated.
No, the first two would be probably Catherine, because she's a B,
Yeah.
and I don't know who the next one is.
So it'd be 1
So
1.
they would be 1 years, and the next one would
1
be.
1 2 2
Garrett?
3 3.
Okay, yeah, that's it. Do we have a motion to that effect? I just don't want to spend an hour doing this.
Second.
Okay, discussion? All those in favor? Okay, and when we sign the appointments, their terms will be on there, so. That gets Theo on deep into it, which I think is probably. Well, maybe it doesn't. Well, I guess you're 2 years.
No, no. Yeah, because the point is, in my term, I can put my name in again.
Sure, oh, yeah, absolutely, and nobody ever gets not reappointed around here.
All right, and so that was.
Okay, so, I did want to say one thing, when 3 of the people are here. Under the ordinance, Terry calls the first meeting as the town clerk. And so Terry, you need to get with them, and Terry, I also think that you should do a little, freedom of access dog and pony show at that first meeting.
Okay.
Because people need to realize that if they put something on their private computer and there's a FOIA request, their private computer could be subject to. If you talk about town business. And I'd be happy to help you out with that if you'd like.
Okay, that'd be good.
And can we obtain email address from the town server?
I don't see why not. Is there a fee for those?
Probably.
Is there?
Anytime Gus touches the keyboard, it's a fee.
Yeah, yeah. Or you could just set, what I would do is just set up an account
A Gmail.
that's just for this business. Set up another Gmail account.
Or just for town business.
Well, it would be good to actually town business,
Yeah.
if that works, because.
Yeah, unless there's a,
And then just make sure you include that as an info on it. And then if somebody is asking for it, they go to that account
Yeah.
rather than each.
yeah, you don't have to, yeah.
Yeah, and I think, and that gives Terry control of it too.
Not unless it's a town account.
No.
No.
Yeah.
so Terry-
Find out if there's a fee. If there's no fee, probably everybody should be set up that way, planning board and everybody. in there.
That would make it easy.
Yeah. But if there's, if he's gonna charge $50 an address, that's a lot of.
He should change his charges $25 to change a password.
But maybe you could do them all at once.
Yeah.
Maybe you could offer them to every committee member out there, so, I don't know. But the easiest way I found is just set up a separate email account and just use that exclusively for town business.
You know, we haven't been doing that, for example, on the budget committee.
That's, yeah,
Maybe we should start.
that's up to you guys, I guess. I'm just bringing this up because this is a new committee.
Well, right, but maybe the old committee should be thinking about that.
They can certainly do that. They should be aware of the FOIA requirements.
It's not gonna, it never leapt to my mind before.
You're probably not gonna.
And the way they ask for the information, the only way they go to your computer is if somebody said, you didn't give me everything,
Right.
I am going to sue
And you'd have to get a court
and
order.
get a court order to go to your.
It's not. Could happen at the planning. board. Very likely to happen.
So,
Okay, I don't want to belabor this. I just 8:15, but you know, you guys aren't gonna meet tomorrow morning, so.
Just after this.
and you're gonna circulate the list
Circulate the list.
of 7, should.
No, you want to put it out on the web server and the.
Yeah, put it on the website, and Selectmen made appointments last night, the following people with the terms. And Jeff's gonna, but give Jeff a chance to call Eileen when we call it. Okay? Yeah, make sure Jeff calls and gets Eileen first.
Yeah.
Okay, well, good luck.
Thank you very much.
I think you should look into buying that little, no,
It'll make you proud.
that little piece of land that swamp people say, right if you go on to Sunset Island on the left.
It's not swamp. It's not swamp. No, we don't have any swamp.
I live in the
It's
swamp.
high, it's high value.
I beg to differ, Jeff. I live in the swamp.
It used to be swamp.
Yeah, now it's high value.
Yeah. And
Marshland.
it's for sale. Okay. Review, library community center, tennis basketball update. I think I'll be very brief. We have a donation, right?
Yes.
Can you announce who it is? And
Sandy Weissman for $342, so we met our goal.
and we have a pledge from Cliff Dasco for $350. He came in 15 seconds after Sandy said. But so I emailed him back and I said, someone beat you to it, but we'll gladly accept your donation. We can always use more. So, but he hasn't brought it in yet. So is there a motion to accept Andy's?
I move we accept Sandy Wiseman's 300 and whatever dollar.
342.
340, I couldn't figure out why that was.
Sure.
For the tennis courts.
Second. All those in favor, further discussion, all those in favor? Thank you, Sandy, and you'll send out the standard thing. Just a quick update, we had quite a crew out there filling the cracks with coal patch in the basketball courts. I think that's pretty much ready to go. Gail has set up the pickleball nets. If you want to, she's taped them out, they seem to be working fine. The nets are out there locked up. If you want to use the pickleball courts, you can get the combo from Terry. The only obligation is you lock them back up when you're done. You got to bring your own balls and paddles. And if you damage them, we will expect you to pay for them. And they're $117 or something. So spread the word, everybody. And we're still waiting on the grant. I'm gonna let the guy know in the state that we've met our goal in cash. And that's it.
I just walked over there and I saw the basketball court, but the cracks in the tennis courts are not gonna be filled.
No, they have not been filled yet. No, we're not gonna do the permanent fix this year in the tennis courts. I did buy some filler. It's in my back of my truck. I'm gonna go out there and try to fill about 10 feet and see how it works. I did talk to the guy, how to do it. He said, don't put concrete into it because it's not malleable. Put something, an acrylic filler that will expand and contract. I'm gonna go out and try it, and then maybe we can get 1 quarter. But I don't know. We'll see. And I just don't have enough hours in the day to do more.
About Chet. Our newly hired.
May I ask you another question?
Sure.
How many people are on the distribution list? Do we cover a good percentage of the town?
You mean the electronic email?
Yes.
About 170.
How many?
170.
Okay.
Which
And
is
that's
not many.
That's not many households.
We have a list out on the counter, and Bill and Anna asked people if they would like to sign up. People aren't interested.
Every time they come in, they ask people, would you like to get on the list? Unless they know they're already on the list.
Yeah.
It's growing, but slow. A lot of people just say. At least they used to. Okay, Library Community Center Facilities Committee. Where do we want to go with this tonight, or do we want to go anywhere with this tonight? We did get that thoughtful letter from Beverly St. Clair, email. I thought it's not a bad idea.
I thought that makes
Yeah,
sense.
I like it.
That
Yeah.
makes sense.
Yeah.
And I think that we should flush out the the accountabilities or the assignment for that group and for the other group, and basically do a candidate profile and put that out on the web. So we're looking for people with this level, these experiences. Fundraising, the hot buttons. So it's 2 work streams that she's recommended, and I think that makes sense.
Yeah.
Who's got construction expertise,
Yeah.
and who's got organization and fundraising expertise.
What do we, has anybody thought about the size of this committee? And the other question I had, I think whoever chairs this committee perhaps should, if we do go the route of bifurcating the committee, for lack of a better word, although I see sometimes they would meet together. Should the chair be on both committees, I think so, to kind of coordinate that. And the other question is, I'm thinking about, should we as a board appoint the chair, or should we do it? And in some ways, I wouldn't mind us appointing the chair. It also depends on who applies. Yeah. And I think we also need to make clear, this is a long-term commitment. Could be 3, 5, 4, 5 years. I guess, am I hearing that we're sort of in support of Beverly's idea to bifurcate? I absolutely. I think it's okay. Is somebody willing to write up something to get us started on what the two, I mean, I have some thoughts in my mind, but I just don't want to take on more, and also, yeah, I got it. I mean, I think we need to write, the first thing we need to do is try to get just a rough vision of what we're interested in, and I think we have that a little bit. And then try to raise some money raise some money, so you kind of go back to the other committee, hire an architect, flesh that out a little. Now you're back to the other committee, and then start fundraising for the larger effort. That's how I see it. But that's just back of the envelope. Yeah. I'm thinking on my part. So you're going to take a stab at something. Okay. We good? Good. Okay. So we have got some people that have sent in and indicated an interest. I started to read them off. Right? We have not solicited anything. I'm wondering if we should respond to those people. Say, thank you, but we're not ready to, or ask Terry to respond, and thank you, we'll keep it on file, but we're not ready to move forward. Because it feels like we need to kind of close the loop with them. Is that?
I agree.
Can you do something, Terry? Just a short email that we'll keep it on file and the select board will work, you know. Maybe shoot us a draft around or something. We can comment on it. So. Okay, we'll move on. Review budget committee policy. Well, we decided at the last meeting that we were gonna revisit whether or not we should have 9 members. Because you said that you were, back when you first upped it, we weren't in favor of it. I think 9's a lot when you throw in 3 selectmen and Terry just into the room. Personally, and we can't fill the slots. And it also has that language in there that I asked a question about that says it'll be an odd number. So my question is, if you have 9 people and 1 quits, then we have 8, we have to get rid of somebody. That's a serious question.
Sure, yeah.
So,
Okay, yeah, that makes.
so I think we should strike that. And I think we should go back to 7.
I agree.
That was easy.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay. Want to make that a motion to, well, why don't we draft and then deal with it on the 11th, so we actually have the words. At the 10th. I don't know
We're gonna
why.
have to-
This meeting is on 4 different nights, yeah. Is that agreeable? So someone volunteer to redraft that?
Yeah, that's
You?
easy.
Okay. Good. All right.
Not every, I just keep the. There you go.
Took the role of the ordinance review committee. We agreed to table this from the last meeting, brought it up again, we're down to 3 members. I keep looking at Sandra. Actually, now that I think about it, that'd be a great place. Well, and I think we should keep it.
Having said that, should we convert it to a standing committee as opposed to an ad hoc committee?
I hadn't thought about that, but I support that. I mean, right now, for example, I think this whole discussion we have with her about the bylaws,
I agree.
I think that could be, I don't,
And I'll tell you the truth, my thought was to disband it when we're ready to move on with another ordinance to regenerate it until the discussion we had with her over the bylaws. And then I said, no, we've got to do something about it.
and I'm not sure you quite got your point on the hearing. But I'd like to keep it,
I know it's 3.
well, maybe
And it
3.
was 5 originally.
Maybe 3 if we can.
It was 5.
Yeah, I think it should be, and I'll be honest with you, I've always dreamed that we could codify our ordinances. I mean, a lot of towns have all their ordinances in a book with the same formatting structure, index. So, and we don't have, they're piecemeal, they're all over the place.
They're all different offers.
Yeah.
They're all different.
Different fonts.
Yeah, I agree.
I mean, but that's a project.
Right.
Yeah.
And we can work our way through them.
Right.
We don't have to go in and change them all to get them all font the same. But as we do the next one, we duplicate what we.
Right,
did.
and we, and some common terms, we use, sometimes we use town, we use select board, select men, I mean, it's,
Select person in this modern age.
that's what I'm saying. Should be select person, that's my point.
And we did do that in the.
We did that with the planning
And the show plan.
So I think there's a role here for that committee. I'd like to see it kept, and so,
So I'll make a motion to make our ad hoc committee into a town standing committee.
second, okay, further discussion?
Question. Can you do that without a town meeting? Is that the town gonna have to vote on that?
No, we can create committees. Yeah.
Even though with the conservation?
That's because the law requires that.
Okay,
That's a commission
okay.
as opposed to a committee.
Well,
And it's regulated by state law.
And it's a committee, so it's advisory.
strictly advisory, right, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, as is the Conservation Commission, but the key difference is the law requires the town meeting to create conservation.
And there is no state guidance or something establishing the ordinance. So,
Actually, I think the select board created the budget.
yeah, I think they did too. Although there is some guidance.
Yeah, actually there was, so maybe there was, yeah. But we certainly created committees before.
Yeah, oh yeah, it's definitely.
Yeah.
Purview, yeah.
Okay, further discussion?
The only thing I've got, I'll stay on as the chair of it. And I don't think that's a conflict. I think it's actually appropriate.
Yeah, I don't think,
But I do think we need to be more members.
and I think Sandra would be a great member with her writing skills.
This is a discussion against interest. I agree, it matches my skill set, but I'm getting a little overloaded here.
You should come to my world.
Well, that's how with everything else, let me just say that I was on Georges River Land Trust Garden Tour Committee, and they want me to chair that next year.
Huh? Okay. All right, well, we'll try to find some folks, but
Boy, did
anyway.
I get wet on Sunday.
But would your money happily?
I don't think we voted, did we?
No, we didn't.
Okay, all those in favor? And I assume it was 5 people, so it'll stay 5. Right, to deal with it. Okay, I'm happy with that.
All else
Skateboard,
being equal,
All right.
I'd love to be on that committee.
well, maybe you could just,
You want to switch?
you could just volunteer, see, you're missing a chance.
Well, I
No,
can
no.
always volunteer as your scribe.
There you go. That's part of a lot of it's drafting.
That's the part of, yeah, well, let's
Yeah.
think about that.
Make a motion, we appoint. And probably, maybe you guys should come back to us with, probably there should be terms, so. Yeah. I we probably is. Yes. Skateboard park maintenance, I think this, you were gonna follow up with someone you knew? At the last meeting, you said you would. Hey, Camden?
The good thing is that he's been away.
Oh, there you go. Hey, do I have a motion to table?
Well, so we only have $36.
366, I leave a number out.
I thought when you said 36.
Oh, typo.
The 36 in the garden fund.
I would like one or both of you to go take a look at it and see if you have. I mean, I think little screws sticking out and, you know, I'm almost thinking, and I hate to even say this, but.
Well, you're talking about condemning it or closing it down? See, our liability increases. Our liability increases if we put a sign out there saying, down for repairs.
Oh, I disagree. If we close that and someone, then they're trespassing. But I'm not ready to go there tonight, but we gotta do something.
I agree. But although, when we first accepted it, wasn't there a group that were going to maintain it?
We've had several people, and you told me about someone who was family that maintained it for a couple of years or something, and then their kids grew up, or am I dreaming, did I dream that?
There was a family in the past couple of years.
That was doing,
At the beginning, it was the back up.
right. And I don't know if they've lost interest in that, or,
Didn't any of you speak to them?
no. I got too much to do already.
The last repairs were done by Jan.
Yeah.
Back when I was here.
Yeah, and he said that, those weren't professional by any means. He kind of went down there with a screw gun and screwed up some loose boards and. So you did go look at it?
Yeah. After you talked to us. I mean, the kids are still using it.
I know.
And it is usable, but it's. If my kids were using it or my grandkids, I would be there. Because
You didn't want to be there when they ripped their leg open on that screw. Well, it's a lot better than when I went down with all the boards with nails sticking up and I hauled all that stuff away. So, well, I don't know what to do in minutes. No, wait, 30 at a time.
Before we leave the state park, I did pick up the signs, but, where would the money for the posts come from? Put those in the,
What sign were we talking about now?
Close dusk for dawn.
Oh, yeah, the Guilford Butler. Bought some signs for Guilford Butler for the break-ins to basically stay close dusk to dawn. I thought you said somebody had.
Well, we have some there, but they're not any great
Yeah.
shape, so.
I can talk to Jerry. I bet he's got some posters around. I have some small ones, but
We have small.
they're not the
ones,
good ones, yeah.
but There's a 10-foot one out here in the hallway.
That's for Aspen Drive.
Okay.
Yeah, don't like that one.
Cut that out.
But and while we're on it, the police did share the video of the kids around with Penny and didn't show their faces, but they're very young, right? 10, 11. And Penny thinks, yeah, just in case you're listening out there. And we haven't had any break-ins since they broke the window. So we're thinking maybe breaking over the school. Okay? Yeah, I'll talk to Jerry. He must have something. Just wanted to, I don't know if you've been out back, but last Friday, week ago Friday, they did burn the demo pile, and so we're back with the issue of having to shut that down is fine. I did meet with a guy, Harry got me the name that does the George, did I?
Yeah.
Yeah,
But you gotta rob a bank in order to hire it,
why did we put this on?
Well, because you just said it in passing.
Oh,
Yeah, we didn't have any kind of.
okay, yeah, and he charges $5 a ton. They don't actually chip it, so it's not good for chips. They shred it, and he said you can't put a chipper in that pile, or actually you ruin your chipper. So the idea of chipping it and letting people take it, or chipping it and selling it is sell it to places that burn it for energy purposes. Which I guess is better than just burning it and not going into the sky like we do now, and from an environmental perspective, but at least you get something out of it. But it's $5 a ton, and he said that he would need twice what was out there. We probably had 300 ton out there, he said, and he would need at least twice that worth his while. And that would be a huge, I don't know if you saw the video before they burned it, but it was big. Or he could charge us mobilization costs, power could be about that size. If the power was about that size, he would charge us anywhere from $800 to $1,000 mobilization, basically to come down, set up, and then ship it. It doesn't seem like that's a financially reasonable alternative. We just don't generate enough regionalization. But Jerry has assured me that he's gonna have Chet burn it every week, not let it keep a mass like that. So I guess that's a temporary fix for now. Unless anybody's got any other ideas.
No, we went through this like several years where we quit burning and we were chipping. But that was at a time where chips that they were getting were of value. And chip it and cost money.
But when they were chipping demo debris as well as clean demo debris.
Yes.
Unpainted, not pressure treated, correct? Yeah, and they were doing the same thing. They were selling it to these, I can't remember what you call them,
But now it's not worth their while.
Yeah.
To do it for free.
Yeah.
So they raised the cost. Now, at the time, almost all of the demo debris had gone in that direction, chipping, and given up their fire permit to burn.
Yeah.
We were one of them that didn't give it up by accident. So we were able to continue it. I remember at the time St. George had given theirs up and wished they'd gone back couldn't go back because the cost was so.
And I remember that the pile got huge, and the problem. Very well. Can I, excuse me, can I ask you guys? It's like we got two.
We got inspired and we have a
Okay.
trash pile.
Oh, good, well,
She's taking that on.
Fine, good.
She's a scientist.
it's not trash, it's brush, but anyway, so, so I think in the short term, we'll just continue on and hope that Jerry
Just do it more often.
burns more often. Someone else has got something to add to this, but. Okay? Very good. Correspondence, we did get that correspondence from Beth, but we already talked about. That wasn't it? Oh, I got an email from Susan Stetz, Karen Stetz, regarding the mattress, which didn't, she sent to Walter and I, so I guess that's about 3, and then I forwarded to you. And she hasn't called me yet, and did send an email back to me saying she doesn't understand why I can't talk about that. And I sent an email back saying, once you call me and I explain, I think you'll understand. So I'll leave it at that.
I just like to report that I had members left at the library this year, the library for taking the film festival. This kind of,
What happened?
they left it at the library. I don't know if they thought it was a donation or what, but eventually I got the money out of the book sale and had her take it out back, because when you have to pay to dispose of something, people come up with creative ways to
Yeah.
get rid
But
of it.
Penny, I don't think you should have had to have taken it out of your library money. I mean,
Oh, but I sure paid that.
well, I mean, Terry could have
We could have just given you a voucher.
voucher and taken it out. I mean, don't do that again.
Saturday.
Oh, you
Oh, I
want to do
would,
that?
I would have come over and done that for you.
Daniel would have been, no, you cannot. Bring it. Okay. Warrants, review and approve.
What do I do?
Oh, I think that was good. I'm gonna do that.
Actually, this meeting didn't go quite as long as I thought it was. Oh, these are the appointments from last week?
Yep.
LPI. We did that. Just sign it, right?
So he was here for 8 hours last week on site.
He was here for a while. He was. Okay, I went, so I can't remember where I went, but when I came back by at like 6 o'clock, he was still here.
What time's your meeting in the morning, Walter?
9,
Well, that's not too bad.
and you're gonna help, you're gonna Zoom.
Yep.
What's,
No,
Tom's coming in person. Rockland's having, they're enjoying the same experience that we're having.
Really?
Yeah,
But I thought everything was going well in Thomaston.
well, they're getting, their savings are terrific, but the multi-vendor situation has reared its ugly head.
Well, you get this stuff, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. That's why I said you gotta have one person in charge of a contract. You must have that, Jeff, at the.
Yeah, which is, we had Stantec Engineering as a consulting firm of record. That's one of the services. Oversight of contracts, construction.
can I tell you what I know about streetlights today?
Oh,
Even though it's not on the agenda.
You can tell us why we're signing names.
Okay. So the light over on 131, number 47. It was an issue with CMP replaced the bulb. again,
Another one.
another one. So they reinstalled the arm and fixture as well as retapped it into CMP. The one on, what's the name of Moira's Road?
Alsac
Alsac Farm,
Farm.
they can't find the light. So. With, they checking with CMP to see if CMP took it when they removed the pole.
They replaced the pole.
They replaced the pole, but the light's not on the old pole. So, Anna's looking into that. On like 13, they installed a new node and fuse. They said light 1 was working, but it does go in and out, so it probably was. And like 40, they reset the node. I just sent you this email for, I just got it from tonight. So now we'll have another, they took the change order that I signed for Alsac Road and added it to the one over on St. George Road. So that light's fixed, but then we'll have another change order to do. Well, like, once they find light.
So why are we paying CMP streetlights?
We still have to pay.
If for the electric.
Oh, yeah. Did we get the right bill from the guy who did the audio visual at the town meeting?
Did we get the right bill?
Yeah, was that the amount? Remember, we decided to do the audio but not the video, and he had video cameras set up everywhere? Did he pay the, was this the agreed upon amount?
Yes.
Oh, you have an issue with getting rid of recycling too, right?
Yes, I do.
Jan used to do it.
I don't have a dump sticker because Judd picks up my trash. So we have bags of recycling.
Phil and I don't know, because they don't live here.
So we have bags of recycling and cardboard in the closet. And as the one with the power over there all the time. Would they
Oh, by
just,
the way, that sign's back up again. It says Thomaston Transfer Station. Remember I said I congratulated you. But anyway, I didn't get up there. So basically, I'm not volunteering to do another thing. So Terry's either they're gonna have to throw in the trash and not recycle there, or someone's gonna have to do it.
would they give you a sticker for the town?
And who's gonna do it?
I will ask.
I'll do it. I just don't
No,
have
you
a
gotta
sticker.
have to do without lugging recycling.
Well, I used to do it when I was here before, but I was able to just take a sticker out of the closet because
Because we
we had them.
we had the rebel sticker.
But now it has to actually be attached to the.
But would they, I mean, can't they be reasonable? It's our town.
Yes, I know. We're meeting on Thursday.
Okay.
I'll bring this. We're also looking for a new site manager. Ours. He thought that. It was written in one of the documents we had that he was.
Manager. Well, Ed was before him. Ed was for years. Legal. So if you got any interesting things around your house, maybe they came from. Am I holding everybody up? I ate beforehand tonight. Last time I didn't and regretted it. Burpee Carpenter Hutchins, I take it that's the general assistance for the funeral or the burial?
Yep.
That's our only general assistant.
Yes, we'll be reimbursed 70%.
Right. Oh, yeah, I didn't mention that, did I? Can you pull this bill from James Callett, not tonight?
Yep. Which one?
Patching potholes, $2,441.
Doesn't have a date.
Yeah. No,
What's it, what number warrant is it?
45.
Yeah.
My suspicion is there's more on there than
Probably.
patching potholes, and that's what got put in here, and that's what I'm seeing.
Well, it probably, that's, yeah.
That's a
It
lot of.
gets typed in and then only so much shows.
Yeah, I know, that's a lot of
I'll check.
potholes.
Well, Jimmy doesn't work cheap.
Hmm. Yeah, it's gonna have a cold patch. Thank you, Terry. These are all mixed up.
I got a whole pile of mixed up stuff. I'll straighten it out tomorrow.
Is this something I need to sign? All that stuff. Don't forget to call Eileen.
Probably not.
No, no. Done?
Schedule meeting.
Well, I think we're scheduled out quite a ways, aren't we? We always put that on there.
That's what I was
Can you
thinking.
do public
Again,
I can try. I'm not sure I'm the best one to do that.
August 10th, August 24th, September 7th, September 28th.
I don't feel the need to go any further tonight, do you? September what? 27th
7th and 28th.
Why? Because I couldn't be at one of them, the third one or something. I can't remember exactly. Do we need any? I don't think we need any special meetings. We have a few agenda items already for the 10th. I'm not sure I want to do that meeting. How do you guys feel about that? I'm not sure I want to do that talking with Kristen's expert here on a regular meeting.
Yeah, although, well, I don't know.
How do you feel about that?
I would like an independent.
You would?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I would.
And how about you guys? The days aren't too bad for me.
Yeah, they don't
Might
come
be
in.
cheaper for her too.
Yeah.
She's
Yeah.
got a day rate and a night rate.
She also
Well-
has two littles.
Who knows?
Well,
I
I think the oldest is probably 11.
thought it was funny
The young one is 2.
when somebody said, well, you know who Bill Kelly is? Yeah, I just happened to be the block on that. Are we ready to adjourn?
I move that we adjourn.
Second that.
Thank you, Penny.
Further discussion? All those in favor? Yes.